We are live here with the Painted Lines, edge of Philly sports. Eagles, big win, 3-0. We'll be with you in a couple seconds. Hell yeah! Philadelphia Eagles beat the Washington Commanders 24-8 to move to 3-0 on the season. I'm Freddie Burns. This is your Edge of Philly Painted Lines post-game show. I have with me Matty B from Edge of Philly Sports, as well as Chris Dives from the Painted Lines. And surprise, I don't even know how he's here, but we're bringing him on. Joe Moore from the Patterson Ave Fanatics. So what's up, Joe?
I had to come on, man. That was an amazing game. I can't get this smile off my face.
Good to see you. Good to see you. As I said, Eagles won 24-8. I mean, the defense, let's start there. The defense was absolutely outstanding. The defensive line has progressively, we go from that Lions game to the Vikings game where they started to get pressure. I think this is what Jonathan Gannon is looking to see. He wants pressure without sending the blitz, and that's what you saw today. 9 sacks. Let's start with you, Dibes.
Yeah, I mean, you got to start with, the Eagles defense, most notably the pass rush, leading Josh Sweat, Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave. I thought Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave kind of started the season slow, but when you watch tape against the Vikings, they had a really nice bounce back game. I think Josh Sweat is this close to becoming a household name. He didn't lead the team in sacks today, but that dude was in the backfield, whether it was a pass, whether it was a run, he was everywhere. And you look at, kind of Carson Wentz, and we'll break it down moving forward, but, Carson Wentz under pressure, that dude is a fraud. He's a straight up fraud, as he's been for a while now. And the Eagles exposed him. Jonathan Gannon in that first half, was giving me vibes of the Jim Johnson days back in the 90s when this was Eagles football, baby. So they had like 6 sacks in the first half, 9 overall. Overall, a phenomenal performance. There's so many positives again and again and again. With the defense, with the offense. The question now starts to evolve is just how good is this Eagles squad? That's something we're going to be talking about all week long.
Jim Johnson, this is buddy ball, man. We have 9 sacks. This is back to Troy Aikman getting wrecked. Joe Marks, I had to bring you off the screen. You have some volume in the background. If you could just mute it, let me know. I'll bring you back on. There was a lot of feedback, but I'll bring you on right when you're ready. I'll give you a couple minutes. Matty B, defensive line, how we feeling?
Yeah, there's really not much more to say. Dives kind of touched all the major factors. Obviously, Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox returned to prominence today. They both did it on the same day, and they took advantage of the Carson Wentz factor. They took advantage of his inability to get the ball out of the pocket quick. They did what they had to do, and I wonder how many sacks. And Dives, you'd probably be the one that would tell me this. How many sacks were Carson Wentz related, or how many sacks were scheme related?
How many of those sacks were pocket awareness related? How many of those were on Wednesday when the all 22 comes out? Like, that's something I'll be watching. I can't wait to make a video on all the pressures that we saw on Carson Wentz, because that was arguably the storyline, especially in the first half. But yeah, it's the same old thing with Carson Wentz. He continues to play too much hero ball. He continues to hold on the ball too long. His pocket awareness continues to be god awful. He continues to be a reckless decision maker. These are all things that we saw in Philly, and they showed up again. So I agree, Matty B. I can't wait to watch the tape. I don't know what it is right now. I'm just reacting live, but at least half seem to be a big part on Carson Wentz. The fumbles, all of that.
You bring up a good point there, Matty B, because a lot of that, the D-line was getting pushed, and they were getting pushed last week, but they kind of were getting harries. They weren't getting the actual sacks, almost causing the throws that Kirk Cousins threw that made the interceptions. In this sense, you're right. You know, Carson Wentz now, what's this, 88 games, 69 fumbles as well, holding on to the football. Before we get into Carson Wentz, which I want to get into next, and how god-awful he was, I'm just going to read off the sacks here. TJ Edwards, 1 sack. That was coming at the end. Brandon Graham, the reemergence, playing his old teammate, 2.5 sacks. Hassan Reddick, 1.5 sacks. Fletcher Cox, a sack and a half. And Josh Sweat. Oh, Javon Hargrave with a sack as well. And then Josh Sweat, 1.5 sacks. And I just want to talk about Josh Sweat a little bit because I agree with you, Dibes. I actually wrote an article way back before I was with Edge of Philly when he was drafted. He had some injury history, and that could have been a hit for Howard. I think it was a 4th-round pick. If he didn't get hurt, he wouldn't have fell. They kind of were using him as an ND Kalu type guy 2 years ago, and he's emerged as now this pass rusher that can play more than just that. I'm excited for Josh Sweat.
Yeah, I mean, he's emerging. He's absolutely emerging. He's top 5, top 6 in quarterback pressures through 2 games. He's right up there when it comes to win rate. So up until this game, he wasn't up there when it comes to like the sexy stats like sacks. But, you know, just like last year in 2021, you know, he's there. He's in the backfield. He's making plays. And I was just as impressed, not only attacking the passer, but, you know, getting involved in the run defense as well. I think Josh Sweat is right there. He's right there on the cusp of being a big-time player in the NFL. You look at all the top, you know, defensive linemen in those rankings and pressures. He's right there. He's right there. So hats off, my man, Josh Sweat, because you look at kind of last year, a big part of, you know, Josh Sweat last year, you know, he made the Pro Bowl, but it was kind of a weird Pro Bowl selection for Josh Sweat. He struggled against good teams last year. And a big part of that, I think, was the schedule. The schedule was really tough at the beginning, if anybody remembers. And so, long story short, he was excellent against the Vikings. He was excellent again today against the Washington Commanders. I think Josh Sweat is arguably just one of the player of the games here. He didn't lead the team in sacks, but he was everywhere and then some.
I agree. Before we were going to jump into the Wentz versus Hurts here, but we actually have live. I want to get him on now. Live from Washington, unless it looks like he's having some stream issues. So we'll bring him back. Hopefully we'll bring him back there. Al, live from Washington. Let's get into Carson Wentz versus Jalen Hurts then. So let's start with how bad Wentz was. We alluded to it. Let's not hit it too much harder. But Wentz, 25 of 43, 211 yards, 9 sacks for negative 58 yards, a 71 quarterback rating, 3 carries, 22 yards. For me, a Wentz guy, I know it was bad, and I know how bad he started to play, but there's no Super Bowl without him, and that's how I choose to remember Carson Wentz. But he was god-awful, and I'll tell you, as a Wentz defender, it was so, relieving to not have to defend any of that nonsense today. I'll start with you, Matty B. How god-awful was Carson Wentz today?
So this week I had the pleasure of talking to David Harrison from Locked On the Commanders, and when we talked about Carson Wentz, he said that obviously it was not their first choice. They wanted Russell Wilson. The Commanders were all in on Russell Wilson. Russell was not having it. They went after the next best thing, and there's a little buyer's remorse going on with the Commanders right now because the things that disabled him in Philadelphia and Indianapolis are definitely still in full view and display in Washington, and there's no changing that. And that's just it. Carson Wentz, is it stubbornness? Is it ego? But he's got the natural ability. It's just that he doesn't want to listen to anybody. He doesn't want to tweak his game a little bit. It's like watching a car accident happen in front of your eyes, and you wonder why he just doesn't pull out of it and try to do something different. I saw this coming. I mean, it was like watching Carson Wentz in 2020 Eagles. I mean, is anybody really shocked about his performance? I know I'm not. It's what he is.
Certainly not shocked. No way in hell. I will say this: he's been playing, besides the turnovers, a little more elusive the first 2 games from the games I've watched. But certainly not shocked. And I had a little bit going into the game when I saw the line go from 6.5 to 5.5, and I'm like, the Redskins just announced injuries. Why is the line going the other way? So I got a little scared, but certainly not shocked. Dives, you said you're going to do a video later on it, but just reiterate how awesome it was for Carson to suck in front of us.
Carson is such a coward that the team literally refused to announce the offensive starters coming into this game today because they knew how many Eagles fans would boo him in the stands. That's how big of a fraud this guy is. Listen, I love Carson. It is what it is. But kudos to Jonathan Gannon for recognizing what we saw in 2020 and 2021, and especially against the Lions last week. Carson Wentz was blitzed 40% of the time, and he was 5 of 14 from the pocket when under pressure. Those stats got way worse when under pressure here against the Eagles. He's just a different quarterback. Like his pocket awareness, his tendency to be risky and reckless with the ball was all on display again today. And he was terrible. And he might put up some yards. He might put up, some touchdowns here and there. But at the end of the day, he's a really frustrating player because he's got the size. He's got the arm strength. He's got kind of everything you want. He's got the pedigree with the draft pick selection, but it's not cohesive. It doesn't come together. And how many times are we going to say this over and over again? It was a pathetic performance. It was an embarrassment.
Let me we'll move on to her real quick, Freddie. Real quick, is Carson Wentz a starting quarterback next year in the NFL?
No, I don't think so. No.
I gotta see. I don't think I think he was out from the Colts. He had a good year up until that, and he certainly choked. But if you look at the other starting quarterbacks in the league, I would take him top 25. I certainly start him over Jameis Winston.
I wouldn't.
I think he's in that same tier. I think he's in that same tier of guys that he's probably going to be replaced. Especially
not that he should be replaced, but based on the starters that are in the league right now, I see him within the 32. Certainly for me. But real quick though, and we'll move on to Hurts and the Eagles because I don't want to make this a Wentz podcast. But Washington O-line is trash. They couldn't block. High school team. Anthony, that is the same stuff we were saying week after week with the Eagles. And it's a huge case of him holding on to the ball. As a Wentz fan, I got a Wentz jersey on right now. I'm not paying for a new one. I support him as the Super Bowl. I didn't root for him today, but that excuse is out the window. That excuse is out the window. The O-line is not the issue. Because soon as Wentz was taken out, the O-line magically was good again. So you gotta hold him accountable as well. Let's move on to. We don't want to get to the players of the game, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be unanimous on that. Well, maybe you got your sweat boy down there, but my gosh, Devontae Smith. Okay, it started out last week. They got Devontae Smith involved, right? And then it was whatever. He had a good game, but then today, 8 catches, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, huge catches. In fact, with that. What a first-round pick. What a move by Howie to move up and get him. Not what a move. It's an obvious move, but he had the balls to go do it. Devontae Smith, start with you, Dibes.
Yeah, if you saw any of my previews, I called him player of the game before this. You look at kind of the struggles with the Washington Commanders so far through 2 games. This team has been carved up by slot receivers, whether that's Christian Kirk, whether that's Amon-Ra St. Brown, all the signs pointed to a Devontae Smith huge game today, and it did. It was awesome. I think he had 90% of his receptions and yards in the first half. Some of those catches were some of the best catches as an Eagles fan I have seen in a long time. How many times have we sat here watching the Eagles and we never had guys that could go up and get a ball like that. And we have 2 of those now, whether that's AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. We have arguably the best wide receiving duo in football. I was on a Commanders podcast earlier this week, and he was debating with me whether or not the Commanders wide receiving core is better than the Eagles wide receiver core. I don't think there's any doubt. Even though that one down the right sideline to Devontae probably wasn't a catch. But it
definitely was not a catch. But yo, shout out to the Eagles for getting on the ball, getting it off. Like, that's smart football. Like, get on the ball.
The hands, Freddie. The hands of Devontae Smith are outstanding. I just see this to get better and better and better. There are so many signs, especially the Eagles passing attack, of what is to come, and it's just nothing but positives. Devontae Smith was awesome.
How you feeling about Devontae Smith, Matty B? I just want to say A.J. Brown also had 10 targets, 5 catches, 85 yards. To your point, what a duo. Is this the best duo? This probably is the best duo we ever had, because the last time we had a duo, it was Mike Quick and Harold Carmichael, but Harold Carmichael was washed up, and Mike Quick was a rookie. So outside of Terrell Owens being here, which that's not a duo, this is the best duo we've seen, right?
You got to give some love to Fred Barnett and Calvin Williams now.
How dare you? I love Fred Barnett. I knew you were going to do that.
Give some love to them, man.
They don't scratch the surface with these two.
So the jump off of the Devontae Smith thing, let's get off of Howie's jock just for a second. He went up one team and got Devontae Smith, all right? So I'm not prepared to annoy him. I mean, they
were going to pick Devontae. The Giants were going to take Devontae.
Yes, they were, and he did the obvious move, and he got Dallas to be a trade partner. I'll give him that, but let's settle. Let's take the Howie Roseman hour, all right?
Listen, Matty B, I've been as critical of Howie as possible. I think I tweeted fire Howie more than you did the first few days. You continue to do it. Like, I did it every single day, but like, I still think his draft is flawed. But like, how many times have we sat there in the draft and they don't make the move? They don't.
You're right. I'm not ignorant. I'll give him credit. Now, as far as today,
you can't knock him either. Like, I'm a Howie hater in a sense. He feels like a slime ball to me. But like,
there's more going on behind.
But dude, he's doing good right now. You can't say that really.
I think there's more going on behind closed doors than any of us know. But we'll get on that's a show for another day. Anyway, as far as Devontae Smith today and the wide receiver duos and the wide receiver tandem on this team, jumping off Dive's point, there's probably no position in football like wide receiver that is so codependent on another position, and that is quarterback. And right now, when you don't have good quarterback play, your wide receivers, they undoubtedly suffer. And so I think Washington has good wide receivers. It's got a bad quarterback. We have good wide receivers who are helping our quarterback be good. They're kind of feeding off each other. And right now, the sky is the limit for this group as I see it after 3 games. I'm very impressed by the way, the diversity of the way they're spreading the ball around. And then when they need that big catch, that big target, it's 11 or it's 6, and then boom, we move. That is a luxury that a lot of quarterbacks in this league don't have, and that we currently do.
Bring your daughter on, Dives. What's her name?
This is Eva. And I do want to say, you say hi?
You say go Birds?
Say Eagles.
It's okay.
I do want to say, all of that talk about AJ Brown is Terrell Owens. AJ Brown is Terrell Owens during training camp and preseason that we heard from Monica. Is
that's what we were missing.
I called all that BS because Terrell Owens is legit probably my favorite wide receiver, and he's a top 5 arguably wide receiver of all time. There was one of those plays that AJ Brown made during that intermediate area of the field where he turned around and made a play on the ball. That was all TO. When you see AJ Brown's a big dude. I did not know how athletic that guy was, because he can turn on a dime and go at the different direction, and the entire defense is going just a different rate than AJ Brown. He's more athletic than I thought he was. He's got as good of hands as advertised. I'm not calling him Terrell Owens, but there's definitely vibes that I saw today of Terrell Owens where he's the man. And that play between Jalen Hurts and AJ Brown, as we have seen, especially on third downs, that quick slant, that has become Jalen Hurts is bread and butter. I haven't seen a defense be able to stop that. And, you kind of project this offense moving down the line when, money's on the line and it's a big game in the playoffs. That play is going to be there for you. So there's just so many positives. But A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, all the above they got to be the top duo in the league. Got to be.
And right now, and Joe Marks, I tried a couple times. It's still a lot of feedback. I just can't do it because he can't hear you. But I'm going to bring on Pat from Ambler, Pat Bernard, Dev Rose Sports. Pat, welcome in. We covered a lot of topics here. Right now, we're just talking about the receivers, Devontae Smith, and exactly how good this receiving core is going forward.
And it's funny you bring this up because me and Kyle Quinn talked about this yesterday. They have multiple choices for Jalen Hurts. Look, I love you, Matty B, but this is where Howie turns out to be a genius because now he set up Jalen Hurts to cook in the kitchen because now you can pick your poison how you want it. You want A.J. Brown across the middle, like Dobbs just said. He is what he is advertised. He's here to make play. He's a playmaker. You want Devontae Smith across the middle, and that was your MVP today. Catching deep balls, cashing in the end zone, red zone. How do you want it? I mean, this dude was all over the place. He crushed this secondary of the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders, just like they did in the Lions game, they left that middle open, which is dumb because this is where the Eagles look great. And Devontae Smith took care of business. So as much as they had double coverage on A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith was beating the one-on-ones. And just like in the opening drive, they were just too focused on those two gentlemen. You had Dallas Goedert running a wheel route and going in the end zone. So they are this core group, and the wideout and the tight end is really good.
So finally some sense on the show here because Howie has absolutely crushed the last two drafts. He has brought in Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, James Bradbury. James Bradbury has been arguably one of the players of this defense through 3 games. Him in coverage, outside a couple missed tackles in week 1, James Bradbury has been absolutely terrific. That position went from a position of weakness to a position of strength. I can't credit Howie enough for his game plan and filling in the holes defensively, and especially these last 2 drafts because this team is being built on those drafts, and the future with 2 future first-round picks is so bright. I agree. His history is not great, but his ability to rebound and rebuild a roster is elite.
Rebuild. Hold on, let me go. Rebuilding is certainly elite, but we cannot. And this is per Mr. Jeffrey Lurie and Howie himself. We cannot grade the draft till 3 years in because when 3 years ago that draft, we made a case for that draft as well, and it didn't look too good. Though I do agree, it is looking good. So but like we got to grade that F. But as far as move making, trades, identifying people, this is his best year, I would say. Because last year he identified people on the Vikings, the linebacker, the name's escaping me. The year before, the Redskins guy, that with Ryan Kerrigan, the D line as well. And he shit the bed there. So we'll see what happens to Howie. But I don't want to make this a Howie podcast. I Quinn Moore, I just appreciate you. All the comments coming in. Please like and subscribe. Anyone watching, do us a favor. Subscribe to the Painted Lines. Subscribe to Edge of Philly Sports. Hit that like button. Please, we need the support. But let's just answer Quentin's question real quickly. Cowboys or Giants? Who do we want to lose?
Giants.
Don't care.
Cowboys, all the way.
All
right, so I got from Dives Cowboys. Would you say Matty B?
Gotta be the Giants. We got it. It's gotta be the Giants.
Giants, and then how about you? You don't care? You said
I don't care either way. I'm with though. If I had to pick, I'm with Matty B. I need the Giants to lose. Slow that momentum down. Slow the momentum down. They're riding high right now.
I don't believe in the Giants whatsoever. Sorry.
No, and I'm with you. I'm with you, Dobbs. I mean, they're squeaking out wins through their teeth. I just want, my cousin's a Giants fan. He has a wet T-shirt contest every day now. I need to slow down. slow it down.
Well, I'll say it's tough. I almost said it. You
must vomit as you said it.
I can't say it. I can't. Well, I hate the Giants too. I want the Cowboys to win though, because I think the Giants with Brian Dable, however you pronounce it, actually might have a shot to develop. where like I would like that to end. Where the Cowboys, I know per Stephen A. Smith, who he's up and down, but he got one thing right. What can go wrong will go wrong in Dallas. And my daughter asked me today, Dad, she's 7 years old. I swear to God, it was so cool for her to ask that today. She's like, has Dallas ever won like a Super Bowl? And I'm like, actually, when I was 7 years old, they won a Super Bowl. And
Wow.
They took
What?
two.
You were 7 the last time they won?
Yeah, man.
I was
93.
22. I was 22.
It really for me comes down to Dak versus Daniel Jones. Like Daniel Jones, the Eagles are going to crush. He's not playing. Who's playing?
It's Cooper Rush.
Cooper Rush?
Down.
No. But
Not for the Giants.
He's going to be coming back, right?
Not tonight.
Not tomorrow.
I'm talking about down the road.
Eventually,
That's why.
Okay.
I'm talking about down the road. That's why I want the Cowboys to lose as much as possible because not an ounce of me believes in Daniel Jones. The Eagles' defense will absolutely crush Daniel Jones and this Giants offense. What worries me is Dak Prescott versus the Eagles defense because the Eagles have a history of being exposed against quarterbacks that get the ball out fast and they get crushed from that. So as many people don't want to credit Dak Prescott, he has had a ton of success against the Philadelphia Eagles. That's my major concern. So I want the Cowboys to lose as much as possible.
I'm with you. With you.
We're getting to the end of the show here, so
Yeah.
I want to. I don't want to like make it a negative thing. We won the damn game. Oh, this is perfect. Thought of the day coming in with exactly what I'm going to say.
I got
Special
one.
teams. I don't want to get too
Yeah,
into
same.
that, but I want to get into the second half woes. This is back-to-back weeks that we haven't scored in the second half, and it seems like the defense has made adjustments, and are we just not playing? Or are we just like, we got this? Jalen Hurts, that's not his demeanor. His demeanor isn't to like just pump the brakes. I'll start with Matty B. Second half woes. What's going on here?
Yeah, they're definitely a real thing now. I mean, you got back-to-back games where you put up 0 in the second half. It might be some scheme. Today might have been a little bit more of the fact that they were just 24-0 at half. And, they might have been looking at a different thing, a more ball grind out or a clock-killing type offense. No more explosive. Not looking for those explosive plays. Last week was more concerning than this week because they were not. That game was still kind of in the balance at halftime. So I'm not really concerned. Real concerned, but yeah, when you put up back-to-back goose eggs in the second half, it's a little concerning. But I think today was more scheme than anything else. They just wanted to kill some clock as fast as they could. But you can't be happy about back-to-back weeks of no points in seconds.
Certainly. Pat, how about you? You concerned?
Yeah, I'm very concerned. We're lucky we're playing a cupcake schedule right now, and you're lucky you have a secondary and a defensive coordinator that has gone to the drawing board throughout this. Again, Carson Wentz was releasing the ball quicker in the second half. So Jonathan Gannon in the secondaries learned to shut that down. However, like I said, if you're playing a top-tier team, we would be biting our nails because they would be scoring, and we don't know if we can, again, first half looks great. Second half, where's this offense at? It's worrisome. It is a little worrisome for me. We have to execute on that. We have to. We're not putting on any more points. You can't take your foot off the throttle. You got to keep going at 100. And for us not put up any more points is worrisome. Like I said, people are not sweating it now because it's 24-2 or 24-7. Like I said, however, you play a little bit against a better contender, you're not going to get that same result. That's guaranteed.
Dives?
I have zero concerns, gentlemen. Absolutely zero concerns. The Eagles have outscored their opponents 72-21 in 3 games in the first half. 72-21. What are we talking about here? I will take I agree. Gannon, pin your ears back and continue that pressure on a quarterback in the second half. I hate that bend don't break defense as much as anybody, but we're really sitting here at 3-0, 72-21 in the first half. This is beyond my expectations. I'm good. I have zero concern.
3-0. I'm with you, Dives. Had to ask the question, but I'm with you on that particular topic. Before we wrap up here, let's go player of the game. I'll start with Dives. Who is your player of the game? And we have a bunch. I mean, there's one you could say. So if someone says one, you got to pick another. That's the rule.
Man, you guys.
No, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go off the cusp because I know what you guys are gonna do. I always like with Sixers. I kind of like to do off the, in
Mind
left
reader.
field.
Dives is a
In
mind
the
reader.
left field. I'm looking at this. I'm gonna go a guy that I was really happy to see. Make a huge impact. And for me, it is Hassan Reddick. Hassan Reddick had 1.5 sacks today. This guy was basically nothing. He had more negative plays in coverage than he did attacking the quarterback. For me, I hope this is the start of something positive we see, good vibes moving forward for Hassan Reddick. So I've already talked on Josh Sweat. I've already talked on Devontae. For me, Hassan Reddick, hopefully this is a sign of things to come moving forward.
This is my son coming in, Freddie the Fourth, fucking crushing leukemia. This kid. Can you say go Birds? You shy. But yeah, I love this kid. Shout out to him for what he's doing. He came running over to me. I had to put him on. But okay, Hassan Reddick, I don't think was the player of the game. I agree with that off the cuff thing, just to have another name. Let's go with Pat. Who's your player of the game?
For me, it's Lev. It's Brandon Graham. I mean, listen, during that Super Bowl run, I think Carson and Wentz bought these guys through that whole dinner, and he forgot to pay them back, or they were paying him dinner since he was a rookie and never paid them back because they were on him today. And with his leadership, they like I said, sacked him 9 times today. 9. Like I said, he must have owned that defense like dinner every week and never paid them back because they owed him like he was an inmate. Like, it was bad today. It was bad. And like I said, he pounced on him today. Pounced on them. And like I said, he everywhere Carson went to go today, he was up in his grill today. So that's my pick.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Al too, because Al makes these graphics like way ahead of time.
Yes.
Like he had this graphic done before the Vikings game, and he nailed it. It. Like, I actually text or messaged on Twitter to Dives. I'm like, well, we'll adjust that because there's no shot Brandon Graham's going to be the guy. And Brandon Graham was damn close to the guy, if not the guy. So good job, Al. Matty B, who's your player of the game?
You guys left me the low-hanging fruit. I'm going to take the low-hanging fruit. Got to go with Devontae
I still
Smith.
got to go.
You got to go with that. 30 fantasy points for Mr. Smith today. Guess who had him in as his flex? So it worked out for me today. There was some concerns. I had some concerns about the chemistry between Jalen Hurts and Devontae. They didn't seem to be on the same page last year. Again, it might have been a personnel thing. What difference A.J. Brown will make to this receiving corps as it takes pressure off Devontae. Maybe Devontae is not the number one. He's probably not. But that's something now that's okay because now he's a very, very good number 2. And that's what you need in this league. We talked about the duos. And to have a guy that when you do triple team A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith comes open, who can make catches like he's made today, who can stretch the field like he does. Great like kind of breakout game for him. Hopefully this continues on 2 weeks now of a lot of targets. Let's continue incorporating Devontae Smith into this offense. Got to go with him.
I have two more.
Jesus, Dives. What you probably have 10 more, actually. My player of the game's Jalen Hurts. Again, he started out slow, in my opinion, and then he just ran the offense, and he found the open guys. And one thing that I love to see the throws weren't perfect. Like, there was a throw to A.J. Brown that was underthrown, but he made the throw and put the ball in a position for the receivers to make plays. Devontae Smith made plays. I mean, Grant Caltera had his first catch of the game today. So that was good to see. Goddard, he just made the right moves. And then again, there were a couple throwaways. One scramble where he just slid. I was kind of mad about that, like throw it away. But outside of that, like even the incompletions on the run, he was looking downfield and throwing downfield, which was big because before he would just run, get the 3 yards. I'll take that incompletion 15 yards down if I know he's visually seeing that. So my player of the game is probably Devontae Hurts or Devontae Smith, but Jalen Hurts is a very close second.
Can I ask you guys a question? Can I ask you which one of these two are about to lose their job first, Ron Rivera or Carson Wentz?
Oof.
I mean,
Ron Rivera probably.
I mean, they're 1-2, and I'm not going to like support like what they're, but they're not that bad.
No, but I mean, but again,
this is their first terrible game on offense.
No, but I mean, then again, this is the game they have circled on their map. You know, with Carson, the whole storyline for Carson Wentz to ever get revenge was for today, right?
Yeah.
And he only showed up for 2 points. You couldn't do anything with the rock. And then you have, Jalen, everyone, toots the Ron Rivera train. And I get they didn't have no Chase Young today, but still, I'm gonna think he's a little bit tad overrated. That's just me. Like I said, I know it's a little too early. Like you said, Freddie, it's 1-2, but still, come on, man. One of these two got to go. That's just me.
Firing coaches and
already.
That's a great point by Pat, where like this game had trap written all over it, considering the high of last week against the Vikings, heading into a revenge game against Carson Wentz. Kudos to Gannon for pinning his ears back and having a great defensive game plan yet again, back-to-back weeks. Kudos to Jalen Hurts and the Eagles receivers, offensive line, prepared and ready to go, and like we saw in week 1. I want to give a shout out to TJ Edwards, who has been elite these last 2 weeks. TJ Edwards had another 10 tackles here against it. He had a sack. He had a couple of quarterback hits. TJ Edwards was all over the place, just like he was against the Vikings. He's shown that he is arguably one of the best linebackers in the game. That's how far he's come in his development. And my number 2 was Little Freddie. So.
Thank you. He just came running over again. He thinks it's a free for all. You just yelled during this podcast now. But I just want to give a shout out to all three of you. Actually, we all got stuff going on in our lives. We're doing this together. Got kids running around, girlfriends, wives, all the craziness. Good stuff for everyone. Before we close out here, though, I have to give a shout out, and let me pull them up here. The games you have left here to go. The Eagles fans in Washington, at one point in that third quarter, or was it early fourth, you heard the defense chants while the Eagles were on D, and a big part of that was Philly Sports Trips. Philly Sports Trips is down there. Al and Joe were with them. The Eagles travel everywhere, and there's plenty of more opportunity to go see them. You go see them Arizona, October 9th. We got Houston. These are good warm weather areas. Arizona, Houston, Indianapolis would be a good city just to see. Check out that dome. Giants, it's always fun to go heckle them. Chicago, this could be the end of Soldier Field. You might only have a year or two left there, and it's always good. I don't know if you're going on Christmas Eve, but if you don't have kids, you might go on Christmas Eve. Christmas Eve in Dallas. Philly Sports Trips did a great job today, and the fans were heard. Before we close up, I just want to plug everyone. Matty B, talk about what you got going on. I'm sure you got a fighting final going on whenever this Phillies game resumes and then ends.
Yeah, so tonight, a little bit later on, depending on whether the game goes final or the game gets canceled, I will be back with Fighting's final. Then Tuesday nights, talking Philly Sports with Matty B. I got Vin Wang from Locked on the Jaguars podcast is going to come join me as we talk about what I think is the trap game. That's next week against the Jaguars.
Pat, what the hell's going on with Devereaux Sports? I feel like there's something crazy going on every week.
Well, first of all, like you mentioned about Al and Joe being down there. My co-host Mike Lauro's down there with them. But anyway,
that was Mike, but I didn't want to say his name wrong when we interviewed him earlier. Sorry about that.
That's all right. You can screw up his name. He's used to it. But anyway, listen. I'm not too sure what's going on with our schedule. We're trying to figure that out for Sunday because we know we got the live remote. So we're trying to figure out where we could plant, my show, whether it be maybe Tuesday or for an open spot or something. But regardless, we're going to have a fire show as always. And for me, look, it's a blessing when you do your show with your dad and your brother. So this past weekend, it was a really, really good time. So I want to thank you guys for hooking that up. So guys, thank you so much.
Yeah, Devereaux Sports was on earlier at the pregame show as well. And then who were co-hosting this post-pre-half show, the Painted Lines. Dives, what's going on over there? You guys got the chalk talk. You got the round of the table. You guys, you guys got the shit going on there. What's going on over there?
All right, Monday night or tomorrow night we'll have Party on Broad, my podcast, and that will be a Jalen Hurts film review. Where we grade every single throw, every single run, and we determine what percentage he gets in week 3. We'll discuss our top 3 stars, of the game. And Tuesday
Yes.
is our Birds of the Roundtable show where we preview next week's game against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it is confirmed in the first time in a long time I will have a free Sunday, and I will be heading down to Philly for the Jacksonville Jaguars game and hanging out with you guys and Big Al. So I'm excited for that because I don't get out very often, and that is a rare thing. So I'm excited.
And that's a perfect segue for me to close this up. We are going to be live next week. Eagles, Jags, Doug Peterson comes back to the link, and he's not going to get booed, my friends. He's going to get a standing O. Pre-game show, 11 a.m., live at the South House, 2535 South 13th Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. If you need it for the GPS, 19148. They got an amazing garlic parm burger. They got great wings. I'm an IPA guy, and when I went there and did my first draft show there, I was blown away at all the different kinds of IPAs. One of them being Levante, which is out in Westchester, which, I didn't expect to be there. They had the Cloudy and Cumbersome there. Great beers, great food. We're also going to have a halftime show live, like from on the internet, that you have to log into the show, take a couple screenshots, subscribe to the Painted Lines, subscribe to Edge of Philly Sports, and then you're going to get a free cheesesteak and beer at the half right there. So that's pretty cool. So get down to the South House next week. Also, just our lineup real quick. Take a screenshot. It varies week to week, but we got a ton of stuff going on. Philly Press Box, the Patterson Ave Fanatics. Joe Marks was trying to get on earlier. He's having some technical difficulties there, but that's our lineup every week. I'm going to close up here. I'm Freddie Burns. We got Matty B from Edge of Philly. Pat from Ambler. You always heard him calling in. Now he's got Devereaux Sports. And Chris Dives from the Painted Lines. Go Birds. We will see you next week.